So back in the project, we first of all have to install Sequelize. And just as we installed all the other packages, we'll do this by running npm install --save, because this also is a production dependency. It's a core dependency of our project. And then the name is Sequelize, like this. Now important, Sequelize needs that MySQL2 package which we already installed. So this MySQL2 package we installed in the last module needs to be installed. If you skip the last module or anything like that, make sure to also install MySQL2. Now with that, we got Sequelize installed, and now we can do a couple of cool things with it. The first step always is that we create a model with Sequelize. Well, and also that we connect to the database, of course. Now, therefore, the first step is that I want to connect to my SQL database with the workbench, which we also used in the last module already. And in there, I will go into my Node Complete database and delete the products table by right-clicking on it, drop table, and then simply click drop now. I do this because I now want to use Sequelize to manage my tables. With that, let's go back to our project, and now let's go into the database.js file in the util folder. There, I now want to write some code to connect Sequelize to the database. Now, Sequelize uses MySQL2 behind the scenes. Therefore, Sequelize behind the scenes will do something like this, but we won't write this. Instead, we will import Sequelize, and I'll store it in a Sequelize constant. You can name this constant however you want, but I'll name it with a capital S because I actually import a constructor function or class here. So I'll import Sequelize like this, and then I'll create a new Sequelize instance by calling new Sequelize like this. Now, Sequelize here, the constructor function, needs some options. You can see we have to configure it with the database name, with a username to connect to it, a password. So here I will connect it to my database, so to my schema name, which is node-complete. Node complete. With my root username, which is root, and with my password, which is node complete. In my case, use the root password you assigned. Now we can also pass a fourth argument, an options object, and in there you can see, I saw this menu or get this menu with control space. You can see we can set up a bunch of stuff. For example, the dialect, we can set this to MySQL to make it clear that we connect to a MySQL database, because different SQL engines or databases use slightly different SQL syntax. And you can dive into the official Sequelize docs to learn all about it. A link can be found in the last lecture of this module. The one thing I want to set for now is the host. By default, it would use a localhost, so we don't need to set it, but I will explicitly set this to localhost. With that, we're creating a new Sequelize object, and it will automatically connect to the database then. Or to be precise, it will set up a connection pool, just as we did it manually in the last course module. So I can now export my Sequelize object here, which is essentially that database connection pool, however, managed by Sequelize, giving us a lot of useful features. With that, we got the connection set up. Let's now focus on working on the models.